Ghost shield, ghost shield.
Okay, see, that's kind of boring. It's kind of boring. I gotta say, just boring without any music. See, but now we're gonna put that same exact scene, we're gonna run the same scene with music and sound effects, and you'll see how much cooler it is.
Ghost shield, ghost shield.
Okay, so you saw that same scene. What I want to talk to you guys about is the importance of music and sound effects. And music and sound effects made a big difference in how that scene was perceived. I want you guys to realize, doing animation, it's vital that as an animator, as a director, as a producer, as a creator, anything you're going to do in the storytelling business, you need to have a vision for what the story is going to be, because you're the only one for a very long time that's going to know how that movie is going to look or how that cartoon is going to look. Think about what I just said. You're the only one that's going to know what that's going to look like for a long time. You're going to have to, see it through to the end, because as you're making your movie or your cartoon, you're going to have to be explaining to other people along the way, hey, I need this sound effect here, I need this music moment here, I need this to be cut here, I need a push in here, because the visionary is the one who guides all the other people, like Alfred Hitchcock, Steven Spielberg, directors like this. They have to know what they're shooting for so others can follow along and get the job done. But think about it. All the cartoons you've ever seen, all the movies you've ever seen, all the TV shows you've ever seen, all the songs you've ever heard, all started with someone's idea. So that's where music comes in. You need to have your vision so clear when you're doing a cartoon or a movie so that when there is no music, you can still hear it in your head, and you can still give a musician direction so they can put the right music in the right spot. Does that make any sense? In fact, we'd always get Fairly Odd Parents, episodes back from our animators, and they'd have no music on them. They would just have dialogue. It'd be very boring. You'd watch the episode. It'd be funny in parts, kind of, and the dialogue would be there, and you'd correct all the animation, and that was it. Then you'd go into what's called post-production. Post-production is music and sound effects. That's it, adding the bells and whistles on a cartoon or a movie. But in this case, Fairly Odd Parents, I would get basically a blank episode of Fairly Odd Parents, just the dialogue, and I'd sit with my composer, Mr. Guy Moon, one of the greatest composers in the entire world, if you don't mind my saying so. Oh, thanks, Guy. Guy just gave me $100. Putting it in my pocket right there. He's off stage. Guy Moon's always here. Anyway, but Guy and I would sit and we would watch Fairly Odd Parents episode, and I'm so weird that I would watch the episode and all of my Carl Stalling Bugs Bunny training would come back. All the cartoons I watched as a kid, like The Roadrunner, for example, when Wile E. Coyote would sneak up to put a stick of dynamite in some birdseed, it'd be like, that'd be like an oboe, some guy with an oboe. And then when the coyote would sneak back, to be a guy with a xylophone. Ding, 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 ding. And I would do that as a kid. I would mimic those sounds as a kid. So when I finally got my own cartoon, Fairly Odd Parents, I'd sit there and watch it with Guy Moon, and I'd be watching the blank cartoon, no music, and I would see like Cosmo fly up, and then I'd see him like hit his head. I'd say like, okay, I want this. I'd watch cartoon with Guy. I'd go like, boink, wow, as he falls to the ground. I would make those sounds. And I got to doing that so much that Guy, instead of taking actual physical notes, he would actually just record me. He would have a video camera on me. So it'd be a video camera on me as I'm watching the cartoon, and I basically sang the whole cartoon. I did this for every episode of Fairly Odd Parents, Danny Phantom, TUFF Puppy, and Bunsen is a Beast over 20 years. We'd sit and watch all those episodes, and I would just make basically the soundtrack with, my own mouth. I would say like, oh, okay, Danny Phantom's gonna fight here, so let's bring the Danny Phantom theme back in. And he would know when to put that action sequence in. Or when Dudley Puppy would come in and there'd be some action in TUFF Puppy, I'd be like, dun 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 dun. I would put that in with my mouth too, or if someone hits their head or slips on the ice, woo 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 whoop, wow 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 wow, dun 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 dun, and I would do all that. But then Guy would mimic me and put that stuff in the cartoon. And then once you got the music in the cartoon, it took the cartoon from here up to here. Even bad cartoons go from here to here with music. It's interesting. I always said this: you can actually have a cartoon with no sound effects, as long as you have music, and it would be absolutely fine. But even if you watch a cartoon with dialogue and sound effects, but no music, it still feels very empty. No music feels very empty in a cartoon. You know, live action movies can get away with no music sometimes, but cartoons, in my opinion, really need music. I'm sure there's some cartoons out there with no music, but music and sound effects are vitally important. The reason I point out music so heavily, the reason I emphasize it so much, is music is so important to all of us. Music affects our lives, it affects our thinking, it affects our mood, and music helps tell a story like nothing else can. Yes, dialogue, yes, character, but music is vital when it comes to telling a story. So don't skimp out on the music. And by the way, if you can't play music on your own, learn how to recognize good music. Even though I'm not much of a musician myself, I play a little guitar, but I'm very, very good at coming up with melodies and giving them to other people. Like I would come up with melodies for Guy Moon. Hey Vicky, you're so icky. That song, all my theme songs, any song in a show, 99% of the time I would help come up with the melody because I just knew what I wanted in my head, and I would sing it into a tape recorder back in the day, or I would do it on my iPhone voice memo, and I'll go, yeah, I got this really cool idea for a melody, and I'll sing it in the voice memo, email it, and then an actual musician like Guy Moon can take what I've sung and actually play it out and make a melody out of it. And by the way, don't ever sell yourself short on melody. I'm not talking about your friend Melody, I'm sure she's very nice, but no, I'm talking about melody. A melody sticks in people's heads. A melody is what the hook of the song is, and that will stick with people. And if you have a good melody, if you have a strong melody, people will remember your song for a long, long time. Like when I was coming up with the Fairly Odd Parents theme song, I told my composer, Ron Jones. Guy Moon didn't do the Fairly Odd Parents theme song, actually. It was Ron Jones. He was my first composer. Ron Jones, I said, hey man, I want something as iconic as Flintstones, meet the Flintstones. I wanted something that big. So when you heard that song, you knew exactly what it was. Because I grew up watching the Flintstones. And I wanted something just like that. So he came up with, I wrote the lyrics, but Ron Jones came up with Odd Parents, Fairly Odd Parents. That was Ron Jones all the way. So hats off to Ron Jones. If I had a hat, I'd take it off to Ron Jones. But so that's it. Music and sound effects, very, very vital, very, very important to the process. Never sell yourself short on music because you will love it. Okay, so this has been I Am Groot and Star-Lord and Butch Hartman saying, art gives you power. I am Groot.
Hey Heart fans, subscribe here to keep up with me, Danny, Timmy, Dudley, Bunsen, and the NOOG Network, my new app full of cartoons, shows, and games. Download it here. Click over here to watch my most recent video, and here to start a playlist related to this video. Whoa, check out that awesome fan art. To be featured here, use hashtag HeartFanArt and tag me. I'm on every social media platform known to man. Cartoon Butch out. Pencil drop.